Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. In today's episode, we just finished Paris-Nice yesterday, 2025. So today I want to talk about Matteo Jorgenson. And even though he didn't win a stage at Paris-Nice, not an individual stage, Visma Bike won the team time trial on stage 3. Jorgenson was a massive power engine going all the way into the last 1K, 1.2K of pulling with just Jonas Vingegaard on his wheel, going big time in that to round out that victory on stage 3 for Visma Bike. But factually, he didn't win an individual stage. But today's video, I want to talk about why it was more impressive that Matteo Jorgenson was able to win Paris-Nice without winning a stage. Many times throughout my career, I've ridden with strong teams where I had climbers wrapped around me and I was the strongest time trialist and the strongest climber, so I had the whole team backing me up going into mountain stages, being able to control the peloton. Well, we look over at Matteo Jorgenson and we see with Visma Bike that they showed up with 7 riders on the roster, not 6 but 7, but Jonas Vingegaard is a GC threat too. We all know Jonas Vingegaard is the team captain when you go into Paris-Nice, even though Matteo Jorgenson had won the year before in 2024 at Paris-Nice. But when we're going into 2025, Jorgenson has a ton of pressure on his shoulders. Make no doubt about it. Whenever you won a race before, and it was his coming out party in 2024, first time coming over to Visma Bike, then winning at Paris-Nice against Remco Evenepoel, one of the first page riders. It's not often that a second page rider gets to dominate like he did at Paris-Nice against a Remco Evenepoel on the last stage into Nice. We don't normally see that. Jorgenson was spotless last year in 2024. But this year, when I see some comments, they always go, well, you know, it's maybe not so impressive because he didn't win a stage. More impressive because he didn't win a stage and because he had Jonas Vingegaard that he's battling with, his own teammate. Now, Jorgenson, I think, did everything correct. Not only is he very mature in his interviews when he's giving it to the press, he says the right stuff, but politically he's saying the right stuff after the individual time trial finished when he's got the mic in front of his face, he's warming down on the trainer, he's got the bus right behind him, he's got the teammates next to him, and the journalist asks Jorgenson specifically, were you the strongest of the 2 riders? When we're talking about Jonas Vingegaard, their team leader, 2-time Tour de France champion, and Jorgenson, were you the strongest in the last 1 kilometer of the race? Jorgenson gives a little bit of a smile and he says, well, the fans will have to make that decision. And then later, just as the interview's finishing, he's like, come on in, he's my teammate. So what he's doing is politically, he's 100% spot on. Was he the strongest in the last 1.2 kilometers of the team time trial on stage 3? He absolutely was. Does he get credit for winning that stage? He doesn't because it wasn't an individual stage. I'll give him credit because I watched the video. He was magnificent. So there's no doubt about it. But then you go into stage 4. It's the first of the climbing stages, right? First 2 stages are won by Tim Miller, stage 1, stage 2, and he's in the race leader's yellow jersey. Jorgenson has the race leader's yellow jersey with the time bonus benefits from stages 1 and 2, but he has Jonas Vingegaard, 2-time Tour de France champion, just behind him. Now, Jonas Vingegaard, one of the other topics I'll talk about today too, he talked about being a selfless rider, and when you bring that up, and he talks about in his interviews how he's willing to ride for the team, okay, when you go into stage 4, when you look at the tactics where Jonas Vingegaard is following attacks from Lenny Martinez and Jorgenson is following attacks from Lipovitz multiple times, and you go into that stage 4 saying that, you know, you can ride for your team, but the tactics are still, either one of these guys could be the race leader here at Paris-Nice. So all the interviews that I saw of Jonas Vingegaard giving interviews talking about how he will ride for the team, it didn't make any sense to me. Because when you go into stage 4, the tactic that they employed of each covering attacks is the correct tactic. It's maybe not the tactic I would use, but I like the tactic of covering the attacks. I just don't like the tactic that when Jonas Vingegaard looks back and it's a, 10-meter gap to the peloton back there when he decides to light up Lenny Martinez. Okay, that's putting his neck out there on the line. It does allow Jorgenson to sit back if somebody sets a steady tempo. But it doesn't allow Jorgenson to sit back if you have attacks coming from Arensman and then you have attacks coming from Almeida and you have attacks coming from Brandon McNulty. That makes it very hard in the race leader's jersey to be jumping all over the place. A lot of times people think if a team leader gets another rider in front, like Jonas Vingegaard, who's going up the road, you think that Jorgenson, the race leader's yellow jersey, just has a free ride. It's only a free ride back there, a free ride, if one team is just going to set tempo and pull Jorgenson along. Then it is what we would consider a free ride. You either have the legs to be back there and you're resting more than anyone on the front. But if the attacks are coming and then stopping and then coming again from Almeida and coming from Arundsman and then coming from McNulty and then coming from Almeida again, that's not a free ride. It's hard to go full gas, then shut it off, and then look around and wait for the next attack to come from the left or the right side and then attack again. So the move there from Jonas Vingegaard of covering Lenny Martinez, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the move from Jorgensen covering Lipovitz many times. I just don't like the move of Jonas Vingegaard putting his neck out there on the line, because if he does get caught, let's say somebody keeps the gap close, but it's multiple attacks back there from Jorgensen. Attack from Arensman, attacks from Almeida, attacks from McNulty each time. Now Jorgensen's a little bit in the red from covering multiple attacks left and right. Then a fourth or fifth rider jumps away after the fourth or fifth attack because they're now still close to Jonas Vingegaard. Jonas Vingegaard gets caught, loses the stage. Possibly somebody puts more time into Jonas and then ends up taking the race leader's jersey, or they just all lose time. Now it ended up Almeida jumped away late in the race. He caught, of course, Jonas Vingegaard with 75 meters to go, went around the right side and won that first mountain stage to gain some time. Now luckily for Jorgensen and for Jonas Vingegaard, that they had lost, UAE team members had lost a lot of time on the team time trial the day before, so that put Jonas into the race leader's yellow jersey. Now, this was going to be the drama stage. This is what I was really most interested in Paris-Nice, was to see what the chemistry would look like between the two riders on the next mountain stages. Would Jonas Vingegaard allow Jorgensen to do the same tactic on stage 5 and then the same tactic on stages 7 and 8 that Jorgensen employed on stage 4 to get himself into the race leader's jersey? We never got that gift, right? We never got that gift to watch those two guys to see if Jonas Vingegaard was really going to allow Jorgensen any shot at winning Paris-Nice in 2025. So with that in mind, we missed that scenario. But now to get back on topic here of why Jorgensen wasn't capable of winning a stage, because he had the form to win the stage. But then you go into stage 5, the stage that Lenny Martinez won. Well, there, of course, once Jonas crashed and hurt his hand, that allowed Jorgensen to put himself back in the race leader's yellow jersey. But he has to ride the front because you see Skilmos getting dropped early on that final climb, which Matteo Skilmos really did not have fantastic form at Paris-Nice. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as it looked when he finally ended up crashing out later in the week, because of course stage 6, when the crosswinds hit, that allowed Skilmos to get further up there on the general classification. But if we go back into that stage 5, once Jorgensen's pulling on the front, he's clearly giving up a shot at winning that stage 5, but he's gaining time on Almeida and he's gaining time on Skilmos that are both GC threats. Bigger threats than when he looks around and sees two Astana riders with Clement Champusson there and to see Lenny Martinez there. At that moment when he sees just those two riders there, he's like, I don't have to worry about these guys. I need to worry about winning the race leader's yellow jersey after stage 8 when we finish in Nice. So that's why he's losing opportunities. Stage 4, he lost the opportunity to his own teammate. Stage 5, he lost the opportunity because Almeida and Skilmos had both gotten dropped, major threats for the general classification, so it allowed Lenny Martinez to win that stage. Okay, then we go into stage 6, the crosswind stage. Again, as a team, Visma Lease bike were something fantastic there to blow the whole race up, coming down the descent and the crosswind at maximum speeds, where you know with crosswinds, everybody's scared there to hold the wheel. Visma Lease bike do a great job. We see Team Ineos bridge across with their riders. We got two teams working well together. We got Mads Pedersen, Skilmos from Little Trek pulling, and we got Lipovitz in there along with Sobrero in there, and they're pulling too. We have 16 riders pulling with only one rider sitting on, Max Schachmann, and you know my story about that if you watch the Butterfly Effect. Well, they come in the finish, Mads Pedersen ends up winning the stage. Now, this was a gift stage here for Mads Pedersen because he's on so much fine form that I honestly think if they had done some of the tactics right on stage 4, the first mountain stage, he might have been able to go with Tobias Foss when Tobias Foss attacked on stage 4. And if Mads Pedersen went with him there, that group might have actually went to the line together, because you wouldn't have had one Mads Pedersen back there chasing Tobias Foss. But anyways, we see Mads Pedersen, who's on fantastic form, and I think did too much for Skillmost actually, but we see him on fine form on stage 6 to win that stage. Now we go into stage 7, is the stage that Michael Storer won. Now this stage I think is a missed opportunity because it was a soft summit climb but a long one, and anytime you're around 6-7%, this is the one moment where Jorgenson has to be very careful. Again, he cannot really put his neck out there. If he brings the break back with his team, he's going to destroy his teammates. And they had already done a ton of work on stage 6, so they're fatigued and tired. So he can't control the peloton going up a soft climb like we saw there on stage 7. So he has to give up that stage because he doesn't have a climbing team around him. And now even Jonas Vingegaard is gone, so they can't control anything. We go into the last stage of Paris-Nice in 2025, stage 8, and we have 3 climbs. I'll call it 4 if you count Col d'Ez. And so with this stage here and no climbing team whatsoever, Jorgenson is always in the position that he has to follow and let the race develop. Anytime you have to rely on other teams to do the work, you cannot predict what will happen. That's why I always love to have a well-mixed team that I know I can control the peloton the whole time throughout the race. And then if you are very good, Jorgenson can win the stage once he goes up the final climb there at Paris-Nice on stage 8. He can drop everyone solo into the finish and get a stage win, but instead, without having any climbers and being isolated up and over the first climb of stage 8, at that moment, he's basically in the hands of the peloton, and how the favorites are going to attack him is going to affect whether or not if he can win the stage. He gave it a good go with 25 kilometers to go, lit the GC guys up, but Magnus Sheffield was already up the road with a 40-second advantage. He held the 20-second advantage coming into the last and final climb of the 25 Paris-Nice race, and then Magnus Sheffield did a magnificent job of holding off Jorgenson back there to win the stage solo, and Jorgenson did a magnificent job and an intelligent job through 8 stages of racing to grab himself a back-to-back victory at Paris-Nice. Remember, guys, he didn't win a stage, I know that, but he had no climbing help ever, not one single mountain stage throughout the 8 stages of Paris-Nice did he have any kind of depth and climbers wrapped around him to help protect him and bring him deep into the final climb or deep into the last climb of stage 8. So he had to be careful. He had to use his energy wisely. And Matteo Jorgenson, you were spotless. It was fantastic. Your interviews were spot on. Your respect to your teammates, even though they weren't deep there into the climbing stages, was absolutely perfect to keep them motivated and to keep them riding just the way they did on stage 6 for you. So everything you did was fantastic, and whether if you won a stage or not is meaningless to me. I've had many stage victories that I've won without stage wins because of these exact same scenarios. You wrote it perfectly. Congratulations. 2-time winner of Paris-Nice, as the American Matteo Jorgenson is going to take a rest day here, and we're still working on Beyond the Coverage. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you guys for the next video real soon.